Now that they've gotten rid of the penny, this is kind of the first step into going digital, right? You lose some of the physical change and eventually the cash goes away. Is that something you're worried about?
If there's news that you can start melting the copper pennies, I think there will be a craze and people will be after them, because why not, triple up on your money?
Introducing the first ever 5-ounce silver maple leaf coin from the Royal Canadian Mint, a historic release with an iconic design that is available in a stunning 5-ounce format for the first time ever. Don't miss your chance to own a piece of minting history. Available exclusively at sdbullion.com.
Harry, what happened to silver and gold price today? They took a little dip.
There's a couple things going on there. Just normal profit taking after the run up the last few days. And also, there's a lot of belief that the Federal Reserve isn't going to lower interest rates anymore this calendar year. And there will be a new Fed chairman early next year, but the current chairman is not going to lower rates. At least that's what's believed, and that's driving the metals down.
Well, today would be a good day to buy on the dips. I think I might do just that. And you guys actually have a lot more stuff in the case today, I'm seeing.
Yeah, actually in pretty good shape on the 90%. In fact, I even made up a bag last night of $100 face value in mercury dimes, which somebody's going to really want this for barter. And the reason I think, again, we've talked about this is so wonderful for barter because mercury dimes are 90% silver and never were made any other way, whereas the Roosevelt dimes started as 90% and now is made in clad. But these, you just look at them and you know they're silver. You don't have to check the dates.
I definitely like the mercury dimes, but some people complain that there's more wear on the mercury dimes because they're older.
That's absolutely true. However, it depends how they would trade in a barter situation. If they traded as a unit, a dime is a dime. If somebody were in a position in barter to weigh every coin, which I doubt, I think that would matter. But we sell a lot more mercuries than Roosevelts, so I suspect that I'm right about the appeal of the mercuries.
Yeah, and in fact, we could have people comment down below what they prefer, Mercury or Roosevelt.
Love to hear it.
We also have available right now Stacker Vault.
The Stacker Vaults. These are so cool. This is a great way to store your silver coins and rounds, and they are made in the USA. But you guys don't have these all the time, right?
No, we get a couple hundred of them, and then once they sell out, they're sold, and we try to get more, but usually it takes a while to keep up with production.
Yep, but they are a great way to store your silver. This is how I store my silver, and it protects it from the air, water, all the elements, and you can travel with it if you need to get up and go. So I think that's an added plus.
And, coming up on Christmas, maybe a great gift for the stack in your life.
Absolutely. Well, Harry, I got to ask you about the penny because we're seeing it in the news. It is a 1-cent coin, but of course we call it a penny in America. Yeah. They're no longer making them, is that right?
Yeah, my understanding is that the last ones were minted, yesterday?
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
End of an era for the penny, but they'll still be making them for collectors in the mint sets, like the proofs and the reverse proofs, but they won't be made for circulation.
So stores will still accept the penny. It's still legal tender. You still can't melt them. They're just not making any more, right?
From my understanding, that's what I understand as of now. But I'm sure things can change, kind of like 90% and so on.
Well, Harry, my thought is if they discontinue the penny, what's to stop them from discontinuing the nickel next? I mean, that's got to be on the chopping block.
I would think so. Probably not immediately. People have to digest this change, and I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I already hear that certain businesses, even locally here, are just rounding up to the nearest nickel.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing too is think about what you can get for under $1 nowadays. I mean, it's pretty much nothing. It's more of a marketing thing, if anything. And I get every penny counts, but from the business standpoint, it kind of is a little pointless to have a bunch of change. I know that's bad to say as a coin collector and a stacker, but I can see why they're doing it.
Instead of totally getting rid of the nickel, make it out of different material to lower the costs. So that way they could keep that alive in circulation, perhaps for a little longer.
Yeah.
Looking at what Adrian said about what can you get for less than $1 is essentially nothing. Makes me wonder if we'll become like, say, Mexico or Israel, where there is no below the peso or below the shekel, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. So that everything's measured in dollars and just in multiples of dollars, but nothing lower than that. I can see that happening.
Yeah, in a way, that's kind of inflation coming on.
Sure.
I mean, just look at the half cent, right? the half-cent was around, but then there was a certain inflation that now they did away with it, and they came up with the full large cent. So it kind of puts it in perspective, you know, of what's going on with our monetary system.
Harry, one big question that I wanted to ask you. Now that they've gotten rid of the penny, this is kind of the first step into going digital, right? You lose some of the physical change and eventually the cash goes away. Is that something you're worried about?
I'm not worried about it, but I see it, especially with people, you know, under the age of 40. They don't buy anything with cash anymore. They pull out their card. You go to a McDonald's or, you know, any fast food place, people aren't paying cash for their food. They're paying it with their card. And I find that amazing because, I mean, my wife still buys groceries with cash. It's just, you know, that's how we grew up. So I think you have to look at it as a generational thing. You know, I'm a baby boomer and we use cash, but these guys are much younger than me and probably pull out a debit card quicker than they pull out cash.
Well, not even a debit card. I mean, everybody's got their phone in their hand nowadays, and you go somewhere and somebody's paying for something, they just tap their phone, tap their watch, whatever it might be, and, you know, it's paid
See,
for.
I'm still behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, once it's the chip in your body, then
Yeah, you
there's
scan,
big
scan
problems.
your thumb or something.
Yeah, it's all over. Well, kind of in honor of the penny going away, we have a few different varieties here. Do you want to talk about these?
Yeah, definitely. So just kind of talking about coins that have kind of come and gone. You know, they did away with the 2 cent before they did away with the 1 cent, you know?
It was an interesting denomination, and if you have a nickel as well as a penny, do you need the 2 cent, right?
Yeah, you need the 2 cent, but this one's a little special too. It's a proof, and it's in an old PCGS rattler holder. So it's a really cool piece. It's an 1869 proof 65 red brown. So still has a little nice color on it and everything, but yeah, just a beautiful example.
What about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this one's one of the key dates here. It's the 1909S of the Lincoln series. So
It's not the VDB though, is it?
It's not the VDB. The VDB fell off of that one. So.
Yeah.
This one's its more affordable brother, and for somebody who's looking to put together a collection of pennies, you know, this is going to be the more obtainable of the two. Now, if somebody needed an 09 VDB, we could get them one.
The designer that we'd sent, he put his initials at the bottom of it, and there was public outrage for having the VDB under the wheats there. So then they did away with it, and that's why you have the two varieties of it.
Yeah, but the more rare one, the more expensive one does have the VDB.
Yeah, VDB. The 1909 is still one of the key dates of the series, so don't let it fool you. But definitely the VDB is the more expensive of the brothers.
We keep saying VDB, it's SVDB that we're talking about.
SVDB.
Right, there was the without the S as well.
Correct.
Yes.
So what about these three here?
Yep, so another cool one, 1908 Indian head cent. It's in a nice red-brown color, just another variation of the penny of what we had. But my favorite here is this one here. It's a 1953 Lincoln cent struck on a 10-cent planchet.
So it's silver.
It's a silver penny,
It's a silver penny.
a silver wheat penny.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Every
That's
coin
awesome.
shop owner who's watching this right now is actually going to appreciate this coin, because you get calls all day, I'm sure, just like we do, that say, hey, I got a silver penny. And we're like, oh, you know, it's actually not silver. It's steel plated with zinc. It was used in the wartime, you know, the 1943 steel cent. But here is an actual silver penny.
So it's an error though, right?
Yes.
Definitely.
Do you know how many of these errors exist?
You know, I know there's a handful of them. I don't know exactly the number, because, you know, they are errors, so they're not really tracked unless they come up for auction.
Or if they've been graded?
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, just compared to the rarity of things, I mean, you can spend an extra $1,000 and buy an ounce of gold, or you can buy something that's extremely rare, like this penny struck on a 10-cent planchet. So it's a lot of coin for the money, and it's definitely cool, because if you're a collector and you're showing coins to your buddies or something, it's like, oh, I bet you don't have one of these. You
Yeah,
know?
no one's got one of
No,
those.
so it's definitely a cool piece, and you know, now that we're talking about the penny, a silver penny is just awesome.
And it's apropos because for almost 1,000 years the penny was silver until the 1600s. So
That's true. What about this last one here?
This is a 1919 in mint state 65 red.
So that's a good grade.
It's a good grade. Anything above 64, you're getting into like the near perfect coins. And then also you have the red designation for copper. There's 3 designations when it's in about uncircular, uncirculated condition. You have red, red brown, and brown. So over time, the copper, when exposed to the elements, will oxidize and it'll turn brown. But this one, somebody took good care of it and it stayed red, and PCGS said yes, it deserves the designation.
In like advanced price guides, you'll see it like the brown, and red listed separately.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing to remember too with these coins that they are going to change. The color is going to change over the years. So just because you buy a coin that's red brown doesn't mean that it's going to stay red brown forever.
Eventually, it could be a brown.
It'll turn into a brown eventually, because a lot of these holders, I think most of them actually aren't airtight either. So just keep that in mind when you're buying the coins. And when you're buying coins too, just don't go with just what the holder says, because we've seen it many times where it'll say red and the coin's actually red brown or even brown.
So you got to make that determination for yourself.
Yeah, I would say definitely look at a lot of coins. If you're going to be buying pennies, I would say definitely do your research and look at many of the same example before you pull the trigger on just one coin.
Buy the coin, not the holder.
Always. Unless it's a rare holder.
You know, Adrian, I was going to ask you, I know a lot of people saw the video where they minted the last 2 pennies ever.
Yeah.
And they actually minted, what, 5 of them, though, that day?
Yeah, they went ahead and minted it, and then after they minted it, they went ahead and held it like that.
Yeah.
You can see the funds. It's so cringeworthy for a collector because you could see that they had adjusted it in his hand too.
Oh, no.
So you could see more of it because he was originally like just fully like obverse reverse pinched between his fingers.
In the Smithsonian.
You could see.
He's got his fingerprint on
You
it.
could see his thumbprint on the coin in the picture. It's like, oh no.
Well, I heard that they're going to auction off 2 of those, but what are they doing with the other ones?
You know, there's rumors, but I don't want to say any of the rumors. But well, I don't know. Who knows what they're gonna do with the other 3? But what if you can find them in circulation? That'll send people to craze.
You think people are going to start hoarding the pennies?
I guarantee there's somebody at a bank right now saying, "Give me every penny you have." But I wouldn't rush to do that because there was millions upon millions upon millions of pennies made. Billions, yeah.
Yeah, Harry, they said that there's 300 billion pennies in circulation right now.
Well, they're probably not in circulation. They're in jars at people's houses on their dressers.
Do you think people are going to start hoarding pennies now that they're not being made?
I think some will. The problem is always with that is, the room it takes up and the weight it takes to store a valuable amount of those. But nonetheless, especially if the refiners are able to melt them legally, people will be hoarding them and taking them and making money the way they do on copper wire and pipes.
So which pennies are the ones that you would want to melt, though?
Anything before 1982, because that was a transition year. Some are bronze or copper, if you will, and some are just zinc with copper coating. So the safe bet would be 81 and earlier.
Currently can't do it, but if you could, they would be like 3 cents or more.
It'd be 3 cents for every 1 cent coin?
So the last time there was this big commodity cycle leading up to 2011, I was actually on a penny hoarding forum, and a lot of guys were looking at the price of copper back then, 15 years ago, and hoarding huge amounts of pennies. And over the following decade, they kind of like burned out and copper never went to the moon or whatever. Then now they're getting rid of the penny. Maybe some of those guys still have their hoards, but we've been through this once before with 2011, but now it seems like they're actually getting rid of the penny.
Yeah, they stopped making them, so they're only going to have collector versions now on, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because if there's news that you can start melting the copper pennies, I think there will be a craze and people will be after them, because why not, triple up on your money?
I mean, it'll be really similar to like 1965 when people realized, oh wait, I need to start saving all the old silver.
Exactly. We're kind of in that phase right now.
Yeah.
Well, we live in crazy times, Harry.
Always.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Silver Dragons.
Thanks a lot, King Richard. Adrian.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Bill.
That's it.